I don't really know.
Going on to that main event, how surprised were you? Because like I mean, like I said, like I got a chance to be there, and it was kind of like an intimate crowd and stuff like that. And the moment Rolly dropped them, everybody pretty much got on their feet. Terrence was on his feet, Shakur was on his feet, Shushu was on their feet. Like everybody was just like, "Oh shit!" So what was your thoughts when you seen that, man?
Um, I wasn't surprised that he dropped him. Rolly got heavy hands. He's a strong guy. And if you remember when Tank, before Tank, somebody was yelling at Tank to like step to him, and Tank was like, "No, man." I remember that clearly. Somebody in the crowd was like yelling. And then after the fight, he talked about how hard Rolly punched. You could tell Rolly's a powerful guy. That didn't surprise me. They dropped Ryan. Ryan does get hurt. Whenever he gets hit clean, he does get hurt. What surprised me was he outboxed Ryan. That's the surprising part. And like, man, like it's something about Rolly that Ryan just didn't want to go near. That word gun shy is a big word in boxing, but Ryan did not want to go nowhere. He didn't want Rolly touching him. Rolly wasn't running. He just was kind of just like boxing. So I didn't think the day that I would see Rolly being able to outbox Ryan Ryan Garcia. That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Was it also surprising to see because even when Ryan gets dropped, he got dropped against Luke Campbell. He got up, he was on fire. He got
They
dropped.
usually get up and fight. Yeah.
Yeah, he got dropped against Tank in that second round in that fight, and he was still on fire.
Yeah,
Like
he usually get up and fight. It was just I don't know, man. I don't want to make no speculations and accusations, but put it this way. I will say this. For the people that defended him, and they made a lot of accusations about, they said some it was his stuff was tainted, right? The Ostarine was supposed to be tainted with the chemical. They had the little thing, Nutra Labs came out. Then they said somebody put something, gave him something, a guy from up your way. I think his name, it was a strength and conditioning coach from up your way, from up New York.
yeah,
Um,
I know you're talking about though. Yep.
he was helping him cut his weight. I can't remember his name, but I don't want to say his name because that's not something that you want to get.
I remember. I'll text you. I'll text you.
Yeah, you don't want to get, but you remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Then they said Victor Connie set him up. Then they said Vada set him up. Then they said that Devin that should know how to block a punch and all this kind of stuff. And then the guy that y'all taking up for go out and look like this in a fight that he should win. All I'm gonna say is it don't look good. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it does not look good because a lot of that rage and ability to fight through getting knocked up. It's a lot of things out here, man, that can give you that kind of confidence and that kind of spark. And then now he goes into a fight perceivably clean. He's being tested. The fight he's supposed to win. He don't have that rage. He don't have that confidence. He don't have that willing to go for it. That left hook don't have the same snap on it. It does look funny. You know what I mean? It just does. Riley's a guy. We talking about who's gun shy and who not. Riley not gun shy, man. Riley been knocked out bad a couple of times, and he got knocked out bad in the gym. And dude put it all over social media. Cruz hurt him bad. Tank put him out with one punch. Kid knocked him out on social in the gym and put it all over social media. So
Ross,
that
Ross hurt.
Ryan probably should have been able, with his skill set and his punching power, he should have been able to knock Raleigh out. The fact that he couldn't or couldn't come close to it or really didn't really go for it like that, it is suspicious. I mean, it gotta be, right? It has to, the performance has to be suspicious. Put it this way, he didn't do himself any favors for making people believe that his test was like an innocent thing and he can perform without that stuff. That's what I'm gonna say.
Do you put any do you put any stock into the layoff? I know in the post-fight press conference he said something like really interesting. He was just like from like during his entire camp, he was just like he couldn't get like progressively sharper, and he was like starting to worry about that towards like the end of training camp. I mean, because you see it all the time. Like, don't matter who you got as a fighter, the fighter they are from day one in training camp, they're a completely different fighter in day 60. So, and he was just like he just couldn't get that sharpness. So, do you put any credence into like the whole layoff thing, or it's also tough to?
Um, you know what, man? That's a good question. I really don't know. I'm not his trainer. I haven't been around him. And that's a good point. Sometimes, man, you just every camp is different. Every day is different. You're right. Guys, when you getting in shape, your body go down, then it goes back up. So maybe you couldn't get everything because you beat your body up a little bit and then you sort of restore it. Like the middle of camp is like usually kind of tough on guys because the training load starts to take an effect on them, and then they kind of go back up, they peak out and go into a fight. So maybe he just didn't get the full due process of camp. I really don't know. Maybe it was the layoff. I don't know, but he was a guy who laid off a lot. He was a guy who, towards the last few years of his career, he wasn't that active. I can remember Oscar De La Hoya coming out and asking him if he wanted the tune up before he fought Tank. He didn't want one. You remember that? And he didn't want one. So I don't know. It's hard to tell because there's so many mixed signals and mixed messages when it comes from Brian. But he's a money maker. I'm sure well, he probably couldn't afford because he was on suspension, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I can't really say what where he was at or whatever, how his camp was, but it may have been a layoff. Who knows?
Um, yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause I remember Oscar De La Hoya really wanting him to take a
He
two.
criticized him for that. He's like, he should have fought. So when you got a guy have a promoter that's willing to give you comeback fights, and guys like me and you remember that stuff, then you can't go say, well, the layoff was keeping me from being sharp because you obviously a guy that don't like to stay sharp and take comeback fights when your promoter was giving. Because guess what? Everybody doesn't have the luxury of having a promoter that's willing to give them a comeback fight because that's an investment for a promoter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's in a very privileged position because of his star power for the promoter to even be willing to invest in a comeback fight. You know what I'm saying? That's the I you just came from a boxing gym. How many guys in there dying to just get one little fight for 5 grand and they can't get no work? You know what I mean? So this guy could get a fight whenever he want. He got a promoter that's willing to invest in that, and he chose not to. So I don't really know. It doesn't mean that he's lying. It just means that his point of views are inconsistent.